preservation locales.
Hang on, sir, hang on. I'm sorry, Steele reporter is having a little trouble because you're going a little fast.
Military battlefield, topographers, views, etc. These are community assets, not liabilities that affect the bottom land. This is about quality of life for 11,000 plus residents versus maximization of profits or increasing Toll Brothers stock price. Also, I don't believe there was a response from Toll Brothers on the township's design suggestion to expand the open space area on the western edge of the property along South New Street. Again, just a piece of land. Nothing special on development requirements, nothing special on historical preservation, nothing special on traffic mitigation, nothing special on EPA requirements. The operative words here are nothing special, just a piece of land. We deserve better. The interests of the overall community and quality of life should be paramount. Minimalist requirements yielding a minimalist plan resulting in a minimalist development is not a good outcome. Toll Brothers could have chosen to be a cooperative partner with the community. They chose not to be. To the Board of Supervisors, 1, verify all assumptions, especially on the fiscal analysis submitted. I don't trust any analysis that uses a methodology that is never validated with actual data after the fact.
Mr. Rich, just ask you to slow down a little bit, please. When you read, you have a tendency to go very fast.
Okay.
And I do want to let you know that your 4 minutes has wrapped up, so if you can try to bring it to a conclusion, I would appreciate it.
11,000 residents do have standing. I didn't see anything in here that referred to the traffic flow analysis on Jacqueline Drive to Birmingham Road to Route 52, which has heavy Delaware license plates and is a major cut-through. Also, how does this plan meet the requirements of the Westtown Township Code? Article 4, Section 170, PA Natural Features Regular Protection. And then finishing, to the Robinson family, you did not choose wisely. You and we deserve a development plan that is worthy of the crown jewel of Westtown. Your family name and legacy should be important to you. You may choose to leave, but we still live here. All 11,000 residents. Remember, in Toll Brothers' mind, it's still just a piece of land. Thank you for the opportunity to have me.
Ladies and gentlemen, just a reminder, when we read, you tend to read out loud the way you read inside, and she cannot take you down that fast. So I don't know if you noticed when I was reading the statement, please pause, give her a break, or we're going to lose Eleanor early tonight when reading. So Mr. Crawford, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. McKenna. Can you hear me all right?
As closer as you can get to that, please.
Okay. Birmingham Township has been a party to these proceedings for 3 primary reasons. And of course, we're cognizant of the neighbors' issues who actually live here, but Birmingham is the close neighbor to the west. And the 3 issues that were primary to the motivation of Birmingham participation were traffic issues, environmental issues, and historic preservation issues. And I would urge the Board of Supervisors to carefully consider the very thoughtful and well-done recommendations of the Westtown Township Planning Commission that I was just informed was Exhibit B71 in the record. I would also like to highlight from the standpoint of your close neighbor to the west, Birmingham Township, some of the issues that we feel are of most important for both townships, to be honest. With regard to the traffic issues, Birmingham endorses the connector road to be located as the plan now proposes to intersect with Bridlewood Boulevard. The township takes no position, either pro or con, the limitation to right in, right out, but we do believe that the location of the intersection is appropriate where proposed. Secondly, Secondly, the Planning Commission at its recommendation number 8 suggests that the improvements to 926 and 202 be completed prior to the 50th occupancy. And whether or not those improvements are done by PennDOT as a public project, or whether Toll Brothers actually ends up doing some portion of it, we feel that that's a very sound recommendation, that there be a limit of 50 occupancies before those improvements can be completed. Thirdly, my understanding, there's been some discussion tonight already about the intersection of New Street and Street Road 926. My understanding from the prior testimony was that Toll Brothers was willing to do the 2 left turn lanes, protected left turn lanes for both eastbound 926 and westbound 926, but for the lack of right-of-way. We feel that this is a critical issue for the proper control of traffic going forward, and so we would urge the township to do whatever is necessary, including the use, presumably by PennDOT, of the Eminent Domain Authority to acquire the additional right-of-way so that those protected left turn lanes can be implemented. We feel that that is a very critical issue, and that should be further explored and made a condition. With regard to environmental issues, Toll Brothers has indicated a preference to use a public sewer connection rather than an on-site drip system. Birmingham endorses the public sewer option for a couple of reasons. First, because of the proximity of Radley Run, that does flow down toward the Brandywine Creek through Birmingham Township, and we would endorse all possible conditions that would preserve the water quality of Radley Run, including tie-in to public sewer rather than the on-site alternative. Another benefit of the public sewer option is that it would free up additional lands. I'm going to get to that in a minute because I think that has an important component on the historic preservation issue. That was Westtown Planning Commission recommendation number 31. In addition, recommendation number 32 also we would underscore as a wise condition, and that is to provide easements on both sides of Radley Run as it traverses through the Crebilly tract, and to provide and enable stream bank restoration. Again, recommendation number 32. In addition, requiring deed restrictions to prohibit any disturbance of riparian buffer areas, recommendation of the Planning Commission number 40. All we feel are important recommendations for consideration of the Board of Supervisors. With regard to historic preservation, if in the event that any plan ultimately goes through with this project, we would recommend not only that the revised alternate plan be a base, but that that plan be further revised to accommodate all or the vast majority of what's called the Brandywine Battlefield swath. There's been ample testimony about the activities that occurred on the western sector of the tract during the battle, and the use of public sewer should enable additional lands that would possibly be devoted to drip systems to be accommodated in a way that would enable the development to honor the Brandywine battlefield swath at least more closely than it is under the alternate plan. Another way that this can be accommodated is with regard to some conversion of single-family lots or reduction in the sizes of single-family lots to townhouse and twin units to conserve and further cluster the development portion of the tract. We feel that the 25-foot separation issue should be resolved in favor of the narrower separations in order to enable the further clustering. Whatever the density ultimately is, we suggest strongly that it be further clustered in order to preserve as much of the western sector of the tract as possible.
Mr. Crawford, I will point out you've probably doubled the time at this point. So if it's possible to wrap up, it would be appreciated.
That'll suffice. Thank you very much.
My name is Cecilia Wright. I live at 1151 Lake Drive in Westtown Township. I'm going to just point out a few points. I provided a letter with more points to you tonight, but my main question for the group I'm going to ask, but first I want to say thank you for the time that you've allowed and all of the meetings that you have monitored for this meeting. I also thank the residents of Westtown Township that have supported going to Pittsburgh, being on Zoom, Cheney University, whatever location. We moved around. I thought it was probably interesting how everybody stuck with it, so that was good. I'm going to ask you, what will future generations think of the decisions you make for this property? Will your great-grandchildren look back on you and say, this was the best thing you ever did by building 300 homes on this property? Or should you have considered that the land should have been preserved, at least in partial consideration, because of the Brandywine battle that was fought on this land? It is only 2 times that I know of where the commanders were, from both sides, were present. It has a historical significance, whether people have brought it out or not. It was probably the lax attitude of the people that live here that we didn't do something sooner. I don't know. But the battle that was fought on this land also had, excuse me, Howe and Cornwallis for the British and Washington and Greene for the colonials. It has historical significance and that should not be denied. Even if Toll Brothers has managed to sweep it under the ground and every single time ignore it. It was there, it is evident. I'd also like to know what they actually will do if they find any skeletal remains. That's a question you should think about. But my suggestion is that you would actually move this development, if it really must be, as close to 202 as you possibly can, and dump all the cars from all the traffic out on 202 so the state actually does something about the terrible traffic problem. We can't solve it. It's a mess. So somehow we have to figure out what we can do and at least preserve a solid portion of the land for observing the Brandywine battle that occurred there. Mostly we've ignored the wildlife and everything else that goes on in that area, so I guess that's what it's going to be. I'm not sure. It is a direct pathway for the birds going to Cape Henlopen, but nobody seems to really care about that. I am requesting that you at least consider preserving a large open space for public use, or at least in memorial of the battle that went on there. The other thing that I would like you to also attend to is the ongoing event of building. The builders are carefully monitored so that all of the things that you put into place are actually done. The reputation isn't really good about that, so I'm going to ask you to please do that. But please consider what future generations will think of your decision for this last open space in Westtown Township. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Linda Miller. I've lived for 35 years at 1171 Fielding Drive in Pleasant Grove. I am the member with party status for Pleasant Grove. I'd like to thank the Board of Commissioners and the Planning Commission for all the work that you've done over the past 2 years. I've stuck with it because I feel that we need to, as everyone here in Westtown has. I have a statement here that I'd like to read. In April 2021, a survey posted on the residents of Pleasant Grove's private Facebook page yielded the following data. 105 Pleasant Grove homeowners responded to this statement. Crebilly Farm should be A, developed into a residential neighborhood, B, preserved. 96% responded that the farm should be preserved. Therefore, they are in opposition to the proposed 317 housing development. The residents expressed 7 major concerns. The first was the disappearance of open land with historical significance. The second was an increase in traffic on 202 north-south, 926 east-west, South Concord Road, Oakbourne Road, and Pleasant Grove Road east-west. The third was an increase of cut-through traffic speeding through the Pleasant Grove development to avoid Route 202. The fourth, the ecological impact and threat to wildlife. The fifth, the environmental impact with the increase of water runoff, etc. 6, the increase of student population resulting in redistricting and/or the possible building of another school in Westtown. And 7, lastly, the increase in taxes due to the need for additional local services. These are the reasons the majority members of Pleasant Grove feel that it would be a great disservice to build the homes on the Crebilly farm. Thank you.
Ken Hemphill, 39 Mill Race Place. Hemphill.
Thank you.
So, for the last 4 years, or more than 4 years, Chester County has been run roughshod by a rogue corporation that has done all sorts of things to impact people's private property rights. Now, speaking of Sunoco, one of the rights that has been afforded by the state government to Sunoco is the right of eminent domain. They came in, they could take people's backyards, they could take people's front yards, they could build a pipeline with a mile-wide consequence zone in neighborhoods, densely populated neighborhoods, schools, churches, community centers, retirement centers. And I think that this is something that the county should consider after you say no to Toll Brothers. If you're aware, if you've been reading the papers, Delaware County just did this for Archdiocesan property at Don Guanella. They took 213 acres to make it a county park, the largest in Delaware County. And this would be something, it would be a big number, of course. Hopefully Westtown would kick in its fair share and that they could find other monies from the state, from the feds, from private money, foundations. But the last thing we need is another rogue corporation like Toll Brothers running roughshod over the last bit of open space in this part of the town.
My name is Ellen Steele, and my address is 1055 East Neals Lane. I have lived in Westtown Township for 53 years. Chester County and Westtown Township have a history deeply rooted in agriculture. When my family moved into our newly built home 53 years ago, Neals Lane RFD 7 was our mailing address. RFD stands for Rural Farm Delivery. Crebilly Farms is the last vestiges of that heritage. I have personal links to Crebilly Farm. My late husband grew up on land adjoining the farm. His father added to the farm, by selling several parcels of his land to the Robinsons during the Depression. My two sons, as teenagers, had summer jobs there. The mantelpiece above my fireplace came from one of the old barns on the property. The Robinson brothers have the right to sell their property for profit. However, eyeing dollar signs rather than posterity is unacceptable. Gay and Jimmy Robinson would be crushed to see their beloved Crebilly farm destroyed by this ruthless developer who has no sense of responsibility for the value of land, only dollars. This treasure is so valuable to all of us in Westtown Township and beyond. To allow Toll Brothers to desecrate this magnificent, historic, open space with 319 houses and at least 638 vehicles would be disastrous. This land needs to be preserved. It is my fervent hope that you supervisors can find a way to stop this travesty by toll. Please save Crebilly Farms.
My name is Ann Hillian. I reside at 1164 Lake Drive. First, I want to plead that we come up with the creation of a township fund for use of our taxpayer money for purchase of green spaces going forward. We purchased here because of how beautiful and what a wonderful lifestyle people can have here. We are losing it. I want to thank the Planning Board and the Board of Supervisors for your guidance and leadership, and God knows your patience through this process. I'd like to know, in what ways does this plan improve our township for those living here now? How about those in the future? The loss of green space will be permanent. The extension of water, sewage, and power development will be permanent and not a plus for the residents or for the land, for the earth. The substantial increase of traffic volume and road-changing development will have a direct impact on all people living in this section of Westtown, and it will be negative. The loss of vital historical areas forever is unconscionable. The added traffic to New Street and 926, but the traffic to New Street leading through Thornbury, polluting glorious farmland and horse country, will never come back. We will go from a green environmental space to one with too much impervious hard cover contaminating our waters. Right now, in the nightly news, we see the impact climate change is having on us and on our earth. What will the effects be in only 5 years, 10 years, 20 years if we're still here? What will the long-term effects be on our children, our grand and our great-grandchildren's lives, if they're lucky enough to live here, certainly to visit us? The effects are and will be on our hearts and heads, depending upon what's decided. So please, take this into consideration as you deliberate. You've been wonderful leaders through this process. As I said, patient, learned, and wise. It's in your hands. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Mindy Rhodes. My address is 331 Broad Run Road in Westchester. I would first like to please address the members of Toll Brothers, Mr. Semon and Mr. Adelman, that are chatting. I respect your professional positions, and I think you are decent people doing your jobs. Your company is consistently known for doing things one way, the toll way. And in doing things the toll way, one could easily miss a different way, or another way. And another way could potentially lead to a better way. Page 3 of the fiscal impact analysis in the Babbitt report from August 2019 states the approximate sale of 317 units would be somewhere around $250 million, and that was 2 years ago. I grew up on a farm, and there's a little saying that I've always appreciated: little pigs get fed, big pigs get slaughtered. If Toll continues to pursue development plans for Crebilly Farm after being denied conditional use for a second time, then my hope for you is that you will do a better job by composing a thoughtful development plan, one that respects core Chester County values, open space, nature, and history. This can be done. Instead of meeting minimum requirements, my hope for you is that you will strive to far exceed them. Instead of a development plan that destroys what is so valuable and further saturates an already oversaturated infrastructure, my hope for you is that you will do a better job by working with what is already here and preserving what can never be replaced. People are who buy and live in the homes you build. People are what make a community. People here now and people not here yet are who need to be considered. Their health, their safety, their welfare, their futures, their children, their children's children, your children. What are you creating for people? Will it last forever? What will you leave behind for people? One day, all the people in this room will be long gone. What will your legacy be? You have an opportunity. Please do not be numb to change. It is never too late to start doing a better job. If not who, then you. If not you, then who? I'd now like to address the Board of Supervisors. For a second time, the fate of Crebilly Farm in this region of Chester County, the fate of our American history surrounding nature, clean waterways, and the safety, health, and welfare of all of us and beyond lies in the hands of the three of you. Thank you for your continued hard work, time, and dedication to what I believe is the most significant battle this area has faced since the Battle of the Brandywine. Your unwavering resilience is giving courage to other municipalities to fight harder against the mass development brutally overtaking the very heart of our beloved Chester County. The potential impacts of the proposed development of Crebilly Farm by Toll Brothers are staggering. The current application, Crebilly 2, differs little when compared to the original application, Crebilly 1, of which you thankfully denied conditional use in December 2017. Yet again, the proposed plans from this developer are far too large for the infrastructure to bear and do not respect the values of Chester County or our national history. If these plans are implemented, the traffic impact, stormwater impact, environmental impact, and the loss of invaluable history will be catastrophic and permanent. Past behavior is the best prediction of future behavior. There are recurring themes by this developer that have been stated in review letters from the county, PennDOT, and other experts. While Toll Brothers may be meeting the letter of the law, or not, they are not meeting the intent of zoning and comprehensive plans. Incomplete and vague applications and lack of collaboration with municipalities are just some of the common traits from this developer. Toll Brothers counts on fulfilling the minimum requirements through the path of least resistance. They purposely count on other parties involved to grow weary from the daunting task of holding them accountable. Please do not be yet another township that gives up and gives in. Your constituents deserve better than the development plans on the table. Chester County deserves better. Our American history certainly deserves better. It is your collective responsibility to hold this developer not to the minimum requirements, but to the highest standards. It is your responsibility to do everything in your power to mitigate this potential disaster. You may not be able to redirect the winds, but you do have the power to adjust the sails. Please vote no to conditional use. If not you, then who? Thank you.
Hi, my name is Cheryl Whalen, and I live in Thornbury Township at 153 Leadline Lane. and I live in the development where you guys are all talking about putting a through street at Bridlewood, which is unconscionable to me. It's a family community, it's a family neighborhood. There are already trucks that cut through and cars that cut through. It's already a safety issue, running right by a couple of different bus stops. So that's just the first and foremost. But one, I have a question for both the Board of Supervisors and Toll Brothers. If the first conditional use proposal was turned down, why shouldn't this one be turned down? What's changed in the ordinance? I'm just curious, I'm not even aware, but has the Westtown Township changed their ordinances so that this can't continue, that, you know, we defeat it and then Toll Brothers comes up with another proposal? That would make the most sense, because I'm not quite sure why we're here when we won the first battle. Now I'll start. I'm definitely asking that we save Crebilly Farm. It's important to not just Westtown Township, but all the townships here in Westchester. First and foremost, the history of the soldiers who gave up their lives on that land should be honored and preserved. Also, as parents of children in the Westchester Area School District, all the building going on in Westchester is having such an adverse effect and impact on the public schools. The school district has passed a referendum to allow taxes to be increased to the maximum to yet build another elementary school. There are already 10 elementary schools, 3 middle schools, and 3 high schools. It shouldn't be necessary for the district to have to redistrict every 10 years in order to keep the student population equal across all the schools. Parents buy homes, one of their biggest investments based on specific schools in the district, only to learn that a few short years later their children may need to change schools or be separated from their friends. If Crebilly is developed, it'll negatively impact the Westchester Area School District, increase taxes, and decrease the quality of life for all residents in Westchester, not just Westtown Township. I took the time to attend many of the meetings about the development of Crebilly Farm. If this land is developed, there is no positive outcome for any resident in Westtown Township or any of their surrounding townships. Although we don't live in Westtown, if Crebilly is developed, it will be detrimental specifically to our neighborhood and to our property values. One of the reasons we bought a house in this development is because it's family-friendly, has sidewalks, a pool, tennis courts, and lots of children. However, the safety of our children is at risk. And since PennDOT and the surrounding townships are talking about putting the through street in our neighborhood, PennDOT, Route 926 and 202 is already a failing intersection. I'm not quite sure, how anyone thinks that additional traffic is even going to be manageable. Anyway, that goes on to PennDOT. Initially, we were excited to buy here in Chester County since it was not as developed as where I grew up in New Jersey. After living here for 20... Initially, we were excited to buy in Chester County since it wasn't as developed as where I grew up in New Jersey. However, after living here for 20 years, the quality of life has decreased due to all the new constructions, and taxes have continued to increase. How can one company like Toll Brothers have so much power over a community? All they care about are profits. They don't care about the infrastructure and the problems their construction causes property owners. After they get their big paycheck, Toll Brothers is off to the next development project as they leave behind nothing but problems for the taxpayers. Why does profit always trump what is right and best for the residents of the community? At the meetings, we heard from historians, environmental specialists, and chemists about all the reasons why Toll Brothers development will be detrimental to this area. Even the Westchester Area School District declared party status to try and fight this development. If the 3 Westtown supervisors unanimously voted against this development, how can Toll Brothers argue that they know better than the local township electeds about what is best for our own township? Also, as so little history is even taught today in the public schools, Crebilly Farm is the perfect opportunity to preserve historical land, respect those who fought on the battlefield, and make the ultimate sacrifice, while giving our children a place to go where they can learn firsthand about our history. Thank you for taking the time to listen. As you can see, I'm very passionate about this issue, and I'm urging you to vote to save Crebilly Farm. At one of the meetings, the former president of the HOA Association, Chad Ford, I think it was the Riverside community, came to ask the township to vote not to approve the development because Toll Brothers left a wake of sewage and drainage problems after building in their community, which was still tied up in lawsuits when he spoke at the meeting. With so many experts providing evidence against the Toll Brothers proposal, in addition to a decrease in quality of life, worry about the safety of our children, increased burdens on the school district and taxpayers, it frightens me to think about what will happen to all Westchester residents should Westtown Township agree to allow Toll Brothers' plan to move forward. In addition, our property values will be negatively impacted. Please vote to save Crebilly Farm and consider what is truly best for our history, the preservation of this land, and the taxpayers of Westchester. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, just another reminder to please slow down when reading your statements if you can. Thank you.
My name is Cheryl Whalen from 1150 Lake Drive. I grew up with Crebilly Farm as a part of my childhood surroundings. To think how this massive, densely built development, which is currently the trend with big builders, will destroy this iconic land is beyond words which I can express. I have repeatedly spoken about my concern with the impervious surfaces of this development and how they could possibly affect the streams which run through and are downstream from Crebilly. If storms are increasing with severity due to global warming, what retention basin can prevent increased flooding and erosion, not to mention pollution from road runoff and chemicals applied to lawns and landscaping of this development? Let's put less stress on our environment and preserve this precious land. Reduce the number of units. Build townhouses rather than single-family homes. Locate them along the land off 202. Their value will only increase because of the unsurpassed view of this preserved iconic landscape and its breathtaking sunsets. We must reduce the carbon footprint. Please vote no to conditional use.
Hi, I'm Christine Lisi. I live at 915 Shady Grove Way. When Westtown Township published its open space report in December 2013, it spoke about how this plan would advance many of the priorities and goals established by the Chester County Commissioners in September 2013, which included improving community health, managing stormwater and flooding, improving water quality, and preserving soil quality through retaining working agricultural lands. Preserving the few remaining agricultural lands would also help the township contribute to the county goal of improving the economy by encouraging agricultural production.